What's up, y'all? Welcome to Desire is Everything podcast. Happy 1 year. This is episode 23. 1 year ago, or officially 1 year today ago, however you say it, we started our podcast, man, and I'm excited to be here with my pops. Excited for our consistency. I'm proud of our consistency. Proud of the work, the perseverance we pushed through, the months that we probably took off, the weeks we took off, whatever happened, we kept going. I'm just proud to be here, happy to be here. They say you don't make a podcast usually don't make it past episode 6, and well, we did that about 4 times almost. So
About to quadruple it.
yeah.
You forgot to introduce yourself.
Oh, my fault. Oh man, I am Jason Wright, content creator, co-owner of Defame, co-host of Desire is Everything podcast, a plumber, personal development speaker, you name it. Probably did it. I also like to call myself an artist of life.
I'm Sam Wright. Of course, I'm Jason's father, creation coach. I help people create the lifestyle they desire by introducing you to the best version of yourself. Father, brother, friend, life insurance agent. But I just love to be a servant more than anything. I'm here. I'm a man of the people.
How you doing, Pops?
I'm doing good. How about you, son?
I'm doing great. Like I said, man, just happy to be here. A year ago.
Yeah.
Just looking back at where we even started at, like being at your house, started
Mhm.
just a table, doing the videos off of IG Live, and then for us to be here.
Indeed, and I think it's right place, right time. You know,
for sure.
being in the barbershop. I think y'all was on the podcast first, Master Barber podcast, Brian Lomax, and like I said, being invited to come on, and then like I said, always wanting to do a podcast. You know, trying it on your own, but being in that element and meeting Clark. You know, having it in the barbershop. I was like, man, this is it. This is the sign that we need to go ahead and make it happen. It's like I said. So shout out again to Brian Lomax, the Master Barber. Shout out again to Clark Howard for helping us get started. And now here we are, one year in.
With Base the Great at All Around Media, Zahi Studios.
Indeed.
Yeah, just what I when I think of life and business in general,
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest things that I can take away and what I would honestly tell people is build relationships. I feel like that's if it's not the most important thing when it comes to business and entrepreneurship, it easily has to be top 3.
Yeah.
Because for one, you don't know where those relationships can take you. Just like here alone. And then from me being on the news or us being on the news this past week, all the congratulations I got from people who started the clothing brand journey with us at Plainfield Gym and Tan. Shout out to all them boys. Just like I said, building relationships is key because, for one, like I said, where we started at our barbershop, building that relationship with Mr. Lomax's son, Brian. Then from there, got started getting haircuts. Then from there, been on a podcast at I was 19, I believe, when that was 18, 19, and then meeting Clark, and then meeting Base at a sneaker convention just from doing a clothing brand. Now look, we here.
And a lot of times they say it's not what you know, but who you know.
Who you know.
You know, and then like I said, building the right relationships also is very motivational. Like I said, you can learn more from having better relationships.
For sure.
But like I said, relationships are just a key to life. You know, whether it's a personal relationship like a love interest, whether it's a business relationship, or whether it's just a friend. Like I said, you just never know how far you can go or grow with having the right relationship.
Yeah, the growth is the most is a key part of that. Because when I introduce myself, or really when I'm talking to like young brothers, I want to help y'all grow, and I want y'all to help me grow. So like yesterday, me and Mom was at Journeys after we had dropped the plumbing truck off. And, you know, I know like with you, I always seen you wouldn't like eavesdrop on people's conversations, but if it was loud enough for you to hear it and you had some relatability to it, you know, hey, Sam Wright, this, that, and the third, or you know, ask a question to kind of get your way in there. And so that happened to me yesterday. I heard a young lady talking to a young man, and what it sounded like was how she was, you know, trying to explain like the clothing game to him. So you go into these stores, you want to get their product and you want to get this product, but you can make that product yourself.
Facts.
And so what it sounded like was she was trying to give him, pretty much run the game down to him about putting stuff on a T-shirt and then making it his own. And so I, you know, chipped in. I was like, hey, does he have a clothing brand, or do you have a clothing brand? And she was like, no, but I'm trying to get him to get started on one, or get
Mhm.
started on something. And like I said, it sparked my interest because here I am, somebody with a clothing brand and many other aspirations or just things I like to do.
Mhm.
And so, I was like, oh, okay, I have a clothing brand. And I just started talking to him, and then come to find out, the young brother, he goes to Ben Davis.
Okay.
Down the street, I went to Covenant Christian.
Mhm.
So the mother asked, so we just, I was chopping up with him and just, talking to him, and the mother asked, she was like, what high school did you come out of? I came out of Covenant Christian High School. I was trying to get him to go there. And it's like pretty much the same story, like a young brother, trying to figure out what he want to do in life, and he has skills, he has the ability to do it. It's just he has to be the one to do it. And so when it came to it, I was like, I just asked, I said, so what do you like to do? And she was like, he's a videographer. And I was like, that's literally, I'm not a videographer, but I'm in that space to where I know this is how you build your clientele.
Yeah, it's all tying itself together.
All tying itself together. So I was like, you know what you need to do, man? Like, carry your camera around. Show up. Like, I literally just gave him the rundown and just giving him different things that he can do to build his clientele or just build those key relationships, especially coming out of being a freshman in high school. Because if I would have knew what I wanted to do in freshman high school, man, it'd been over with.
Right.
It would have been over with. But it's just now that I'm here and 20 years old and I see where I'm at, I would love to give the game to young brothers so they can be 10 years ahead of me from where I was at 20 years old.
Well, that's where Defame Academy comes in at.
No, for sure.
So like I said, although you were doing it in that space, just having a conversation with somebody, you've been doing that. It's just now, okay, how can I amplify it? How can I magnify it? How can I make it? How can I take it to the next level with mentoring and giving the game to people? It's just putting a plan together and executing.
No, for sure. No, I agree with that. Yeah, so I ended up exchanging contact with him and then got his mother's Instagram, and she ended up taking a video like me talking to him. So I'll reach out to her, see if she can send it. But yeah,
you gotta chop that up immediately.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful moment because I always have these moments, especially like in business or entrepreneurship, to where I feel like something beautiful happens, and I understand why it happened because the way I executed and the way I was intentional about it. But then it starts happening over and over again because I'm more focused on it. I'm present in that moment. And so I think that's like one of the most beautiful and one of the most important things, like I said, with businesses or entrepreneurs, is just building those relationships.
Yeah, and then like I said, that just shows your growth over time. Like I said, you backtrack 3-4 years ago, you might not have been in that space mentally, but because you've been intentional with getting in the right spaces, the right rooms, what you feed in your mind, what you feed in your spirit. Like I said, it all starts to, it's like a snowball effect. The snowball's gonna keep getting bigger as you continue to do those things. So yeah, but yeah, definitely relationships. That's something I've always prided myself on it. And then take a little quick detour. Lost a good friend of mine a couple of days ago, who I had a great relationship at once, and then over pride we stopped speaking. And a couple of years ago, I'd heard that he was getting deployed. So I shot him a text message. 'Cause like I said, I always knew one day we would come back together. So I shot him a text message. Hey, I heard you're leaving, man. Safe return. He said thank you, but we never got a chance to reconnect. And when I tell you, this is somebody that I had a great relationship at one point. Like, going to the first UFC event here, he took me and you to WWE and bought you some gifts, going over his house when, he brought his brand new house, being at his wedding, him being at my wedding when I got married years ago. Like I said, just had a great relationship with this person. And maybe some of those things we never would have did had we not had that relationship with Kyle. So again, my condolences to the Fortson family. Like I said, it was pretty devastating to hear that he had passed at such a young age. I think Kyle might have only been like 42, 41. So like I said, a young, bright fella, man. And like I said, again, had I never had a chance to build a relationship with him, I wouldn't have those memories of him. So my condolences to his family. But relationships is very important.
Yeah, I think. And so it's just when we continue to build those relationships, you never know, like, the memories you can get from them, but as long as you're intentional about, building relationships or just being in the moment, those memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Definitely. So
yeah, like that's beautiful. With just itself is continue to build relationships.
So you put relationships in your top 3 What's something else you would add in there
Mm.
as far as it relates to being successful?
Being, ooh, being intentional. Um, easily top three.
What would you put that intentional category in though? Because that's more of an action word.
Mm-hmm.
So what category would you put it in?
Be intentional about what it is you want
Got you.
or what
So
it is you want to
purpose,
get out. Yeah.
purpose, destiny, future. Knowing what you want. Yeah. Uh, that word intentional, like I said, take it back to 2019, was it? Back when we were at New Corinthian and Pastor Terry Webster Sr. used to make us, not make us, not wrong choice of words, but he would say, hey, choose a word for the year. And me knowing what space I was trying to transition to, my word was intentional, right? So going into the beginning of 2019, so it was 2018 when I chose the
Yeah.
word. Going into 2019, that's when, like I said, I tell the story about me reaching out to Jamal Sylvester, saying, "Hey, cuz, I see what you're doing. Man, take me with you." And these were my words: "Take me with you." He's like, "I got you." So I think maybe a month later, he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm going to this event tomorrow. I got the person gave me another ticket." He kind of gave me the background on who he was talking about. And it's Coach Melanie Ake. Shout out to both of them. And I tried to find every reason I could to get out of it, right? Because at that time, I think I had a lot of clothes in storage. I'm like, man, I don't have no suit. I ain't got nothing to wear. So I was trying to make an excuse. Something in the back of my mind said, no, this is what you asked for, right? So I went and got the suit out of storage, cleaned it up and whatnot. So then I make a video that morning like, hey, I don't know where I'm going to. My cousin reached out to me, said he had some tickets for his event. I'm just going to it. So it was at Newfield Museum, the museum on 38th Street. And it was a personal development seminar. Melanie has a podcast where she calls it the 50 by 50 leadership podcast, where she interviews 50 people throughout the year. And she gave out the book by John Maxwell, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. The very first chapter in that book was the law of intentionality. So like I said, when I tell you that when things are divinely woven for you, for me to choose a word intentional that year and then to get this book, be awarded this book, and the first chapter was intentional, like I said, it was life-changing because then the light finally went off. I had been running a play or had a plan for everyone else, but I never really truly had a plan for myself. So it's funny that you use the word intentional because, like I said, it's a game changer.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely one of the biggest things that I've had to focus on, and I've definitely took under my wing and ran with, because it only makes sense. I mean, you can say you want all these things in life, but you'll never get them unless you actually find your purpose or you plan out and actually dedicate yourself to those things.
Mm-hmm. Putting action to those thoughts, putting
Yeah.
action to that desire, like I said, and it's not easy,
No, not at all.
especially when you have lived a life of conformity where, you get up every day and you go work your 9 to 5 and then you come home and it's okay, I'm gonna watch 2 hours of TV, I'm gonna eat dinner, watch another 2 hours of TV, then I'm going to bed and I'm doing it all over again. So to be intentional and try to actually chase after your desires or try to live a purposeful life, it's not easy. So like I said, being intentional, building relationships, surrounding yourself with the right people, it takes work. It's not easy, but you have to, like I said, having some intentionality about it.
Yeah. And then number 3, so I say intentionality on your purpose, relationships. Ooh, I don't know. What you think?
Personal development, definitely. So like I say, I don't know if you can kind of tie those together, personal
Yeah.
development and then being intentional about reaching a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, back to not having a plan for yourself.
Yeah.
That's where personal development comes in at. Like I said, I worked all the jobs, made as much money as they would pay me. But I never ran my own play. And I talk about being at Foot Locker, for example. Foot Locker used to have a sales book, and it was called SALE, SALE. Service. I ain't even gonna try to remember what it stood for, but I ran that book. I ran that play every day. I was always a top salesman, wherever you put me at. So to run a play for a business, but then to go home and not run the play for yourself, it can be very detrimental to not only your future, but those who you're supposed to serve, those who you're responsible for. like I said, you just keep turning your wheels every day because only thing you're focused on is I go to bed so I can get up and run the play for somebody else again every day. So like I said, once I realized what personal development really was and started to focus on it, that's when, started to become more successful in my own right, not just successful for another business. So
I think number
personal
3,
development.
or in that top 5, where
Mhm.
you can say evaluate your experiences.
Mm.
So, and I go back to this one all the time,
Mhm.
but to March 11th, when I went to Chicago for Got Soul, and to see where I'm at, like to see where we're at now,
Uh-huh.
I couldn't imagine this, especially after that night,
Mhm.
man. Because, and I don't want to say it was leading up to it, but I could have definitely, probably sat back because we did another sneaker event like the week prior, I believe,
Mhm.
or like 2 weeks prior here in Indy. And the sneaker event was, it was cool, quiet,
Mhm.
and we got 2-3 sales. But the reason I wasn't, worried about it, or I didn't, it didn't phase me, is because those sales end up allowing us to break even
Got you.
to the table purchase.
Mhm.
So then I'm thinking, okay, Got Soul, you going out here Chicago, 5,000 people. It shouldn't be no reason
Yeah, you was very hopeful.
I would like to say confident, but hey, man, it's
You was
but
very
yeah,
hopeful.
and so
He's like, we go here and sell out. I was like, okay.
yeah, so then you get there, and it don't go nowhere near how I had thought out it was gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt, and kudos to my boy Caden, man. And I tell him all the time, bro. He definitely like one of my biggest inspirations, just in the fact that I'm still here.
Yeah, shout out to the big man on campus, Caden
Man.
Thompson. That's my dog.
Man. And so for him to, give me the words of encouragement, tell me, man, that's part of the road, man. Just,
Yeah.
and talk to me and like get me back straight. And so now like I'm
Mhm.
thinking, I think about a month off and like tried, figure out where I was gonna go next.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason I was able to do that was because of that experience.
Right.
Had I not went through that experience and broke even, I'd still probably be doing sneaker conventions.
Mm. Yeah, the bumpy road makes for an interesting journey.
Yeah.
It does.
But now look where we at,
Yeah.
Our merch is almost all around Indy. I didn't hear people, man, I seen somebody wearing your hat.
Yeah.
Man, I seen somebody wearing this, and the third.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, us being on the news. And then the other night when we did the sneaker event, or the event, the Daptoberfest, shout out to Dominic Dorsey.
Shout out.
That was a beautiful event. And then just all the events he throws are beautiful. He
Yes,
always got the whole
indeed.
city coming out.
Yeah.
And then appreciate you for putting us on the news. But
Appreciations.
for the way we got show love just at that event,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like I said, you got to evaluate the experience because you never know where it's gonna take you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you sit here and you let those failures or those losses, like people would say, affect you and what's the name? What's the word I'm looking for? Not keep you or allow you to go down the spirit and break you.
Right. You regret it and all that
Yeah.
other stuff. No, we don't take losses. We take lessons.
Man, and
you know.
so you let that happen, and you'll never be where you want to be. But if you, like I said, you sit back, evaluate it, the sky's the limit.
Mm-hmm. And your experiences build you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, going back to the book of 15 Valuable Laws of Growth, that the law of reflection, you got to take time and pause and let growth catch up with you. So if you're going through all these things in life and you never stop to say, okay, last week I went to Chicago, I was very hopeful that we had all these sales. It didn't go the way we planned it to. What can I do different? That's reflecting. But had you just went up there, didn't have the experience you wanted, and just kept on going and never thought back on it. So what happens the next time that happens? So when you reflect, you allow growth to catch up with you. Okay, once again, I got to do A, B, C, D next time so I can have the results that I'm looking for. So those experiences, they count, man.
Yeah.
They really do. And your experiences turn into your expertise. That makes sense?
No, that's facts.
Your experiences turn into your expertise. So you can't tell me how to operate and run a podcast base if you've never done it before. So when someone come to base and say, hey, man, I need a podcast, what do you know? You're an expert now because that's what you're doing. You're running a podcast. Someone comes to you and they need tutelage on how to work the microphones or run a camera. You're an expert now. Your expertise because of your experience. People don't realize that. People think, oh, I don't know nothing. No, your experiences make you an expert in that field.
Facts.
A lot of us go through things that would have killed someone else.
Say that again.
A lot of us go through things that will kill someone else. So your past ain't my past. You know, my past, another man can't walk in my shoes.
Can't.
You know, people ain't hustled like I hustled. They ain't been around the madness that I've been around. And the first same thing for the next man. Someone who's maybe been to prison for 10 years. I haven't been through that. So that's his experience. That makes him an expert in that field. But like I said, we go through things that would have killed someone else. So like I said, use your experiences as your expertise.
And I think that can go back to, you know, the relationships part, because I'm always willing to give free game.
Facts.
Especially to, like I said, the young brothers out here. And people older than me. Like, I give game to people older than me. But I love giving free game because I feel like everybody should succeed in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can help the next man succeed, I would love to do that.
Indeed.
But you gotta, you know, take the free game I give you and actually put it to work. That's a conversation for another day. But
exchange of value, I call that.
Exchange of value. But to be have a clothing brand for 3-4 years almost, and then to have a podcast for a year, to, you know, do the content creation and be consistent with posting, to do the fashion and be consistent with posting that, in all the areas that I've posted and all the game that I've soaked up in these past 2-3 years. Like you said, I'm an expertise in my experience. So if somebody come to me with a question and asks me, okay, this is what I want to do, I can give you the run game, or I can give you the game on how to start or how I started. And if you want to try that and attempt it, then do it.
Indeed.
Because that's how I did it, and now look where I'm at. I wouldn't give you something that I didn't do. Like, to me, now some people out here do that, and I don't understand. But to me, I would never give somebody a game plan that I didn't run myself. That don't make sense, because then that's back on me. Now what if they get big? Man, yeah, Jason Wright tried to give me this, but it didn't even work. And now I gotta go save myself.
Man, people gonna do that regardless.
Yeah, but the thing is, at least I got proof of what I did and what I didn't do.
Indeed.
And so I think definitely, like, being an expert in your experience is definitely one of the biggest things you can do.
Indeed. Like I said, and oftentimes I get around people and I want to give them game or counseling, but oftentimes I just sit back and listen and watch. Because like I said, you have to know people, for one. I think that's another thing. Knowing people will help you be successful. Like I said, I've been fooled once. You won't fool me twice. You know, and people put on, especially with the social media age, people put on this act or this persona that they are a certain way. But if you listen to someone long enough, they'll tell on themselves. Period.
You be telling me that?
You listen to someone long enough, they'll tell on themselves.
Telling me that since I was a kid.
Or another way I put it, you let someone talk long enough, they'll tell on themselves. So like I said, a lot of times I sit back and just watch people. And if I feel like I can interject and give you some game or give you some knowledge, I will do that. But like I said, if I get a vibe that you're really not going to take heed of it, I'll let it be. But oftentimes I'm sitting there listening to learn something. Like when I get around y'all, you, Damon, Tyrus, Brother Jamal, I can sit back and just listen to y'all, you know. And if I feel like it's something I can help y'all with, I will. But if not, I'll let y'all do y'all thing, because like I said, I could tell that y'all are growing together, and I would never want to step on that or interject just because I'm the old head in the room. You know, I can sit back and learn, because like I said, my personal development coach is 28 years old. But since I've known him, everything he said he was going to do,
He did it.
He's done it. I've seen his growth. So I didn't have no problem investing with him, because like I said, I see the results. So I would rather pay someone who I've seen do the work than just go online and find someone and I haven't seen their journey.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so to me, it doesn't matter how old you are. If you have something to give me, I want it. Period.
Yeah. I think, if you have something to give me, I want it.
Indeed.
Definitely. And shout out to Brother Murdoch from the city. I think he's definitely like one of the biggest inspirations, or like the best teachers I've watched personally just over these past couple months, because like I said, like same thing with Kasudi. You've seen like everything he said he was going to do, he didn't did it. And he's put on, like I said, Brother Murdoch has put on countless events, giving back to the community, giving us free game. And I don't know one event I've actually had to pay other than Brother Jamal's documentary, but that wasn't really, like, that was more of his LLC or his companies that he's put and blessed us with. But even then, like the teaching events, like the first event that I think I went to, or the first time I actually heard him teach, was how to make a lean, mean canvas in like a business canvas that what we learned from the IBE, and just sit in that room and hear him teach and how he kept the whole class entertained and gave you countless notes, and just the way he was able to give free game. It was wonderful.
Yeah, very, very influential, very impactful.
And so I think, like you said, if you got something to give, then I want it.
I want it.
And I think that's what is going to easily separate the people who say they want to be successful versus people who are successful, is them willing to go out and learn. Because that's one of the biggest things I tell people when they ask, like, how do I do this or how do I do that when it comes, being an entrepreneur? Go to the people. You have to go out.
Take the initiative.
Yeah, you have to.
I got that. I learned that word from your big dad when we was younger. So my father, Samuel Wright's Construction. Me, my younger brothers, Jewel, Samson, cousin Joe, Lil Gary. Whenever we worked for him, he would often leave us, right? And like I said, we teenagers. I'm the elder statesman of the group, but he would leave us at the work sites, and he would give us assignments. Okay, y'all need to peel that tile up. Make sure y'all sweep everything up and then dump it in the dumpster out back, right? So we would do that, and we would get done. Man, we was near a park or something. We would leave, go play basketball, or we would take a nap, right? So we'd come back like, hey, man, why y'all ain't go outside and do A, B, C, D? It was like, you told us to get the tile up, sweep the floor up and dump it in the dumpster. Yeah, man, but y'all got to take the initiative to do the other stuff that y'all see need to be done. Like I said, because if he was taking a break, and no telling where he was going. So oftentimes he would leave a lot longer than he was supposed to. So he's mad at us because he's been gone long. But like I said, back to the word, take the initiative. People just don't take the initiative in doing things that need to be done. And that's, like I said, I'm thankful for my father because he taught us many lessons growing up. But that always stuck in my head, take the initiative. We knew what other stuff could be done, but because he didn't tell us that exactly, man, we wanted to do whatever we wanted to do at that time. So people just got to take the initiative to do what needs to be done.
Yeah. Especially just from my experience, I feel like one of the biggest initiatives I took, or one of the biggest thing or the best lessons that I took, or things that I did, was start doing networking events, going to just events, like any event, and seeing how I can bring value to it, or how somebody can pour value into me. Because like I said, you'll never know who you'll meet there.
Facts.
But if you meet somebody and they have some value to offer, especially if it's free.
Come on now.
Free is a business owner's best friend.
Trying to tell you.
It's plenty of events out here, plenty things you can learn from that are free that will help you in the end. But you have to take initiative. And so, like, when it comes to me doing the vendor events that are more focused on small entrepreneurs and not just sneakers, or doing the networking events where I can go out there and shout out the Right Impact Group, or Desire Results Training, or Defame Academy, Desires Everything podcast, to where it doesn't have to be focused on the clothing brand. It can be focused on the other things that I have to offer. But you have to take initiative to do those things.
Indeed. Another thing, since we're on the I words, investment. You have to be willing to make an investment. Yes, we love the free stuff. Don't get me wrong. We do. But we have definitely spent money, put money into not only ourselves, but our brand. So like I said, you have to be willing to make an investment. But then also get a return on your investment. So don't just spend money on anything. You need that ROI, a return on your investment. So like I said, personal development coaching, make sure that your business is set up right. Make sure that you're having the right people on your team. Like I said, all these things are so key to you becoming successful. But you have to be willing to not only invest in yourself, but invest in your vision as well.
No, for sure. Your vision, like, I feel like it's something powerful. And it took me a while to, really figure it out, or not even figure it out, but to realize how powerful my vision is, especially with the work that I consistently put in. Like, I can make like anything that I envision happen. I just have to put in the work.
Got to do the work.
And I think that's like one of the biggest lessons you can learn from business, because we can envision a lot. Like, I can envision, like, you can envision being the best basketball player there's ever been. But if you don't put in the work to be the best basketball player there's ever been, then you'll never be that.
It'll never happen.
So when it comes to your vision, you have to you have to focus on it and figure out the, the tangibles of okay, I need to do this. I need to eat this. I need to, just different things that's going to play into how to make your vision come to life. Because we can all do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for myself, I can say I'm a visionary, but I can also say I put in the work to make my vision happen. Because that's what it is. You can be a visionary, but you also got to be the artist.
Yeah, there has to be action behind it.
And so just for business alone, I think vision is probably one of those top 10. Yeah.
Because you think of an artist, artist has this picture in his head, but until he actually puts it on the canvas, is he really an artist? Is he really an artist? He can have all the vision he wants, but until he finds that clean canvas, till he gets the paints and everything out, gets the brush or whatever tools he needs, until he puts it on, is he really an artist?
Just a visionary.
You got to do the work. You got to do the work. So like I said, yeah, it's great to have a vision, but you got to have them action steps behind it. You got to have the action.
What do you think? What would you say your top 3 is when it comes to like biggest things you learned or most important things in business or being an entrepreneur?
What I've learned, do it right the first time.
Talk to me.
We cost ourselves money and time when you just don't do it right the first time. Like, we second guess things. We want to be cheap. We put things off, so then deadlines come. Man, if you just do it right the first time, do it while it's on your mind, get it done, you will save yourself money and time. So I think that's one of the big things I'm learning now, man. And like I said, these things, but like I said, as life happens, you get these reminders, man. Just do it right the first time. Get it done when you know it's supposed to be done. Yeah, those 2 things are huge, huge.
Do it right first.
Man, do it right the first time. I'm telling you.
Times where I didn't thought I was gonna do something and didn't do it, or it cost me in the end.
Yeah.
And boy, them would be the worst things.
Yeah, whether you gotta set yourself reminders, whether you gotta have an accountability partner. Like I said, man, just doing stuff right the first time, it takes a load off of you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not worrying anymore. Your mind is clear. I got it done. I got it knocked out. If you gotta make it a list of the things you need to do, a dump list, man, just do it right the first time. Save yourself the hassle. Save yourself the trouble. Save yourself the money.
Yeah, I think so. Back to the story about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was talking to one of the ladies, because the young male was with 2 ladies, and so the one who was talking to him at first about the clothes, she said I reminded her of David Shands, and so she was like, "Do you know who David Shands is?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Have you?" She asked if I had ever like seen him or if I follow his podcast. I was like, what's funny? A month, or what was that? July we went. I was like, in July, I actually went to see him live for his podcast. She was like, "Oh my goodness, are you serious?" She was like, she had been on the morning meetup, and she like follows him and all that. But she was like, "You remind me of a David Shands," and I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "His hot seat is like one of his best things." I was like, I would actually get on his hot seat to learn. To just learn, because it's crucial.
No pun intended. It's fire.
Yeah, for real.
It's fire.
But I would and I don't want to say that people who are on there aren't willing, because I mean, if you put yourself in that position, you have to be willing to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to know, especially from somebody who's already successful in his own right, what I could do better and what he feels like I could do better.
Definitely.
Like, there's some things I know I can do better, or some things I just haven't done, or like you said, took the initiative on. But I think it's better when you hear it from somebody that you look up to, or somebody who's doing exactly what you want to do, or somebody who's where you want to be at.
So I'm going to put you in the hot seat real quick. Reach out to him.
Not for sure.
Hey, David, it's your sign. We met back in July. Here's a picture of us. This is my rundown. I'm very interested in coming down there and being on the hot seat. What's the worst that can happen?
You're right. And what's crazy, somebody actually told him, like, straight up, just send him a DM, was like, get me on the podcast now, because once I get big enough and you try to get me on a podcast, I'm not going to be on there. And he was like, I don't know whether to feel intimidated or if I should actually put him on the podcast. Right. And he was like, he said he was going to do it anyway. He was just going to put him on the podcast just to be it. And so the only thing that's stopping me from doing that is just how I would get down there. But I haven't, and I don't know why. Like, now that you say,
like, are y'all hearing this? How would he get down there?
No,
that's his concern. That's his question. How would he get down there? Thank you, Bass. You go ahead, man. Finish. I don't know why you
But
even said that. Go
no,
ahead.
and that's the thing is, like, I'm already putting myself like behind when I can obviously just do it. Like,
Yeah.
I have like a reliable car to obviously get down there.
Yeah.
But now that you say it, like, take the initiative on texting him.
Yeah.
Now it's all clicking. Like, obviously I can just drive down there.
You can get down there many ways. Bass was just for y'all who can't see Bass. Bass didn't say it fly. Bass said
Shoot,
drive.
Bass just did drive down there.
Thank you. Like I said, dude, you got several people who would say, "Man, I ride down there with you, whatever."
Shoot,
But no, you just got to
make
take
it
the
happen.
initiative.
Yeah.
Like I said, especially after coming off of being on the news.
Yeah.
Like I said, man, come on, man.
And
It's
that's
your
the thing. I've
time.
wanted to be on like other people's podcasts. I just haven't reached out. Like even local podcasts. Like I don't really know as far as like the aspect of, oh, should I reach out or do I don't want to say wait on them to reach out to me, but I don't like when it comes to being on other people's podcasts, it's like
What I wouldn't. I'm gonna tell you this because I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't ask someone to be on their podcast. I would ask them, how can we connect? How can we build something together? And if they say, oh well, I got my own podcast, why don't you be a guest? Then I'm and that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody correct me in the chat or in the comments. Am I wrong because I don't want to ask someone to be on their podcast? That's just me. I would just rather connect with someone and see how we can build together, how we can add value to each other, and then if it's extended to me be on a podcast, I'm all for it. The David Shands thing, though, that's a no-brainer. Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
So you already see somebody with a platform, who can help me and offer me value. That's definitely that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
definitely make that happen. Shoot.
But no, as far as people that or locally, I would just be seeing how I can connect with them and then build that connection genuinely. That's me. I'm more about authenticity than me asking you for something.
Exactly, because that's what a lot of it is. Because I've learned, like I said, with building relationships. I went to a Top View industry night, I think a couple weeks back, and B Swift was there. B Swift's been in the radio game for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And is one of the biggest people in the city in the music industry,
Facts.
let alone. But he says one of the biggest turnoffs when it comes to having a relationship with an artist or just being in the music industry alone is when people come up to him and be like, "Hey, bro, can you put my song on here on the radio?"
And not to their fault. I thought that's the way that game went.
But it's not. That's
right.
the crazy thing.
Yes, I thought that's how that game went. I thought that's how you did that. So. It's interesting to hear B Swift say that.
And so he said, like, and I won't say word for word, but this is what I took from it.
Gotcha.
But he said he'd rather people, build that relationship first.
Yes, I'm trying to tell you.
To where, okay, how can we connect? Or, hey, yo, B Swift, this is what I do. How can I help you? Or how can, just offering value to him and building that relationship. He even brought up to the point to where if they in the club together, at the bar together, buying B Swift a drink, and then just buying them drinks.
And but I've raised y'all to just build relationships to be, like I said, it's never about what I can get out of you.
For sure,
it's that value. It's that value exchanging value. Oftentimes people, have relationships with people and people are just taking from you. You're not getting nothing back.
Facts.
Now, when I say exchanging value, the value doesn't always have to be the same.
It doesn't.
But there has to be some exchange. It's just like when you said, I don't want to help anybody out if they're not going to take heed and put things in practice. I'm the same way because there's no exchange of value. So if let's say I got someone who's like, man, I need you to mentor my son and, but we ain't got no money. Oh, that's cool. I can do that. But I don't want to mentor your son and then he's not taking any of the advice I'm giving him. Because now I'm putting time and my love into your child, but there's no exchange of value because he's not doing anything back. So although I might be, spending more money guiding your child, I don't get anything back if they're not listening to me. I don't need money back. I just need them to take heed. And that's just like with coaching. Don't pay me thousands of dollars to coach you, and then you don't put none of the stuff in place. And I'm talking to myself with my coach. I shouldn't be paying him all this money if I'm not going to do things that he's coaching me to do. So, like I said, there has to be some kind of exchange in value, but the value doesn't always have to be equal.
Yeah, and it can be something as small as words. Like, I know is when it's people who are in, places I want to be, but I talk to them or I know them personally, and they just came back or they just, just did what they did and killed it. Hey, bro, that was a good job, man. Proud of you. And I think like telling somebody you're proud of them is one of the greatest compliments
Mm-hmm.
because you never know how, like, for one, how many people even tell them that. But to hear somebody say, I'm proud of you,
Facts.
that puts a smile on their heart
Mm-hmm.
times 1,000.
And but make sure and people need to make sure it's genuine too.
Yeah.
You tell somebody that. I like I say, I've always had a love for people. I've always had a love for impact, adding value. So like I said, when we tell you we proud of you, we really mean it. We're really genuine about that because we love people. We care about people. So
Yeah. And so I think like words can go a long way alone, but exchange value. Like you said, it don't have to be the same, but exchange value because that's literally like it goes a long way, especially in relationships.
It really does. Where we at on time, base? Okay.
Say less.
So give me your recap on this time in between our podcast. Like where have you been and where are you at now?
Where have I been?
Mm-hmm.
So when we first started, I really didn't know what it is that, like, which direction I wanted to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So for one, like, I knew it was a personal development podcast. I knew what Desire Is Everything was, but my focus at the time, like when we first started, was the clothing brand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing this to promote the clothing brand, and that's where I was.
Mm-hmm.
But now, and what I tell people all the time is, especially like in the realm that I am in, I'm pushing Desire Is Everything first, or Jason Wright first, and then everything that I have to offer is coming with me.
No doubt.
So when I go to these events, Jason Wright, looking people in their face, who is Jason Wright, or what does Jason Wright have to offer me? Well, I got a podcast, a personal development podcast. I do personal development speaking. I'm a content creator, artist of life. I got a clothing brand. I'm a plumber. And that's what I have to offer you. And people can hand select, okay, well, let me select his podcast. Let me listen to that. Oh, he has clothing brand. Let me see what he has that I can put into my collection of clothes. Oh, he's a plumber. Well, I got a water heater that needs to be replaced. It's just in small things that I've learned. This is how you have to maneuver to build something else up. You have to build yourself up first. And I think one of the biggest things I learned, and I feel like I learned this from Damon, was when he brought up the fact of Louis Vuitton, how it took them 3 generations for it to, blow up. That's fine. Like, if the clothing brand takes 3 generations to blow up, it takes 3 generations to blow up. I think, me personally, I think it'll blow up before then, just based off of social media alone and how, and the work that me and you and Levi and the family will do. But I feel like once we continue to build up Jason Wright, because that's, I feel like, what Louis Vuitton is. You think you got Tommy Hilfiger, you got Ralph Lauren. You have these names that are tied to these clothing brands, but it took somebody to build themselves up to be able to slap their name on a shirt.
Indeed.
Slap their name on some pants or some shoes. So I feel like that's where I started at, as far as I'm doing this for Desire Is Everything, the clothing brand, to where now I'm doing this for Jason Wright, the Wright family legacy, for Desire Is Everything, to build that up, and everything that I have to offer will come with me.
Indeed. Big facts.
How about you?
Well, first of all, just to piggyback on what you said, you are your biggest asset. Nothing comes from you without you, if that makes sense. Like, everything that comes from you, it has to be about you. Like I said, you can't push the brand, the clothing, the podcast, the plumbing, if you're not right with yourself, if you're not right mentally, physically, spiritually. Like I said, so everything that someone sees, you need to be a great representator of that. Like I said, you have to be, the sign has to be the focus point of everything that you're coming with. So like I said, that makes a lot of sense. For me, I've been stagnant since we haven't did the podcast, honestly. So to be back on here, it's great. Like I said, this is one of my motivations, coming on here, spending time with y'all, giving a word to the people, getting a chance to post the clips and stuff like that. That kind of kept me in a great space. So to take that time off, I've been stagnant, and that's just being completely honest, and around this time of year is when I really dig in and start, starting like that squirrel right now at this time. When November, December come around is when I start working more and start storing up, so when 2024 comes around, I have more money to allocate and do more investments and stuff with.
Yeah.
So I got some rest. You know, I'm ready. I'm ready to kick this next month that's coming up and these next 2 months and end the year strong. So I'm really committed to being all that I can be to finish the year out and man start 2024 off on fire. So like I said, been stagnant, but now like I said, podcast back rolling. You know, seeing what we just did with the event and like I said, you being on the news. I'm really ready to step back into the game. You know, the coach going, I'm ready to get back in the game. So I'm ready to put up 50. So
Yeah, and I feel like once we, took that break, or like the beginning of it, I was stagnant.
mm-hmm.
I don't want to say I was like burnt out from events, but I definitely like took a step back. It was like, man, it did what it felt like was 100 events.
Yeah,
in
you was
a
running
matter,
back to back.
matter of 3-4 months, but I'm happy to be back.
Mm-hmm.
I've missed posting, the motivational reels or just the reels from the podcast
Mm-hmm.
and being able to share what it is I do outside of the other things that I do. But now, like, content is definitely going up, along with the content creation of just like everyday things. And now the podcast is definitely going back up. So it's just, like you said, stagnant and that rest that was needed. But
Mm-hmm.
here it is. What, October now?
Yeah,
Got to finish this year off strong.
Yeah.
Got some big things planned as far as this weekend and then next month we going to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So just doing what we can do and to get our name out there.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Indeed.
where we at, man?
Yeah. So these next 2.5 months, because like I said, we halfway through the month already. I just challenge anyone out there listening, man, make a commitment. Or actually decide first what you're going to be committed to. Is it personal development? Is it building your business or your brand? Is it your family? Is it your job, your career? Make a commitment. Oftentimes we set goals, and if we don't hit that goal, it's okay. Don't make a goal. Make a commitment. Say, this is what I'm about to do these next 2.5 months to finish the year out. I'm going to do it. If you need help, send us a message. Like I said, I would love to coach you, love the opportunity to connect with you. But like I said, make a commitment. Say, I'm going to do this next 2.5 months and finish this year off strong. That way, when 2024 comes around, you're already rolling. You're already in the groove. You're taking it to the next level. So, like I said, man, your desire is everything. Find out what it is that you truly desire, and shoot for that mark.
Yep. Well, that's episode 23. Happy 1 year anniversary. Happy 1 year of this podcast. We're going up. We're going up for sure, and I'm happy to see what the future holds. Definitely had some, did some things on the back end that needs to be done, and it's going up now. So appreciate you, Pops.
Appreciate
you, Bass. Appreciate you, Levi. Appreciate Zahi Studios. Anybody else that in help Desires Everything podcast, Defame, Jashawn Wright, Sam Wright, pretty much anything that we do in this city or wherever you at, we appreciate you. Episode 23. Die.